Hi, Kyron here from Slapshot Films with a breakdown on some of the shots in Glove Warfare. Steve came up with the simple premise of a Dishonored guy pulling out a glove and slapping another character in the face and challenging them to a duel like in the old days. We thought it would be pretty funny as a slapstick version of that, mixed with some sweet slow-mo and visual effects. Our physical gear for this short consisted of a Canon 7D, a GlideTrack Hybrid 1m, a GlideCam HD 2000, we used a small HD DP6 monitor and a slick tripod. The first couple of shots involved some text camera tracked and stuck to things to introduce our name and the title for the short in a cool way. So we used Buju to create a 3D camera from the footage and then brought the tracking data and 3D camera into Max. In this case, I knew my text was going to be above the chair, so I selected 2 track points on top of it, switched to the top view and lined my text up to them. Next, I added a plane behind the text with a matte shadow material applied to it. This means that the plane itself won't render, only shadows being cast onto it. It gives the illusion the text is shadowing on the real wall. With the skylight added to fake some ambient occlusion and a couple of omnis placed to cast shadows in the right direction, it started to look pretty good. Over in After Effects, it was just a case of adding a fast blur to match the same blurriness of the video, color correcting the shadows to match the scene shadows, and animating a mask so Steve appears as a foreground object to obscure the text as he walks past. Part of the W is in the shadow of the bookshelf, so for realism's sake I made a darker duplicate of the text and masked out everything but the half of the W that's in shadow. Next it was on to modelling our amazing CG glove. That was simple spline and poly modelling. I quadded up the mesh, unwrapped it using the photos I took as textures, and added a turbo smooth so the mesh would deform properly during animation. Using the trusty GlideCam, we got a great smooth shot of Steve acting like he was frozen, although his hoodie's dangling strings still moved in real time, but luckily the CG covers most of that up. I got a 3D camera track of this shot and once again brought it into Max. This was really quite easy because I could see where Steve's head was in the tracking data, which gave me the end point for the glove's animation. I keyframed this position, switched to the camera's view and moved the glove back to about where it looked best as a starting frame. Then I keyframed in a few rotations to make it look like it was spinning and then added a wave and ripple modifier. This made it look like it was rippling as it flew through the air. To complete the effect, I knew I wanted some cool looking glove trail to stylize the slow motion effect. I tried out a few things and then quickly fell in love with Fume Effects for Max. After a bit of tweaking, I was quite happy with this blue plasma trail. I added a wind helper to really string the flow back towards the camera. Then it was time to bring it all into After Effects. I duplicated the footage, added a turbulence and caustic effect because I wanted the plasma trail to displace the scene as you looked through it, like it was looking through water. I then brought in my glove and plasma renders and masked out the turbulence footage everywhere except where the glove trail was. The first glove impact was really simple. I wanted to do another stylized slow-mo shot and came up with the idea of extra versions of Steve multiplying out because I glove slapped the bejesus out of him so hard. This was a case of getting a clean background play to the shot and cutting the footage at the point where he starts flying through the air. I then used this still of Steve by masking out his background and animating his layer flying backwards. Then I duplicated him 3 times, each consequent version having more blur than the last and animating each coming out a little faster than the last. As his head was coming down in the first impact, our professional actor was smiling. Seeing as this was the best take, I had to do a little time speed up for this part so his head whips down too quickly for the audience to see the extent of his mirth. I animated the background bulging out towards us to get a more stylized feel, and as an experiment duplicated Steve and added a CC starburst, which created this nice floating particle effect to accentuate the stopping of time. I used the same techniques for most of the wide shot where Steve is flying behind the couch. Shooting at 60 frames a second, we whipped out the green screen, and thanks to Steve's amazing flying skills, it was a simple matter of keying out the green, garbage matting the rest, and animating him flying back. This required a duplicate of the footage with the couch masked into the foreground layer to hide the fact his leg is off screen. A quick time ramp near the end of the animation to show speed returning to normal rounded off the effect. Finally, it was the wall impact. Being a glass door, we had to be quite delicate and do the rest in post. This consisted of adding a ripple effect as a little homage to the Matrix. All the foreground objects were masked out so the ripple only happened on the curtains and back wall. A few smoke puffs and falling dust effects were added from Action Essentials 2 and a healthy dose of camera shake to sell the violence of the impact. So there you have it, Glove Warfare's effects all broken down. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you liked it, please consider subscribing and liking on our main channel, Slapshot Films. Thanks to video co-pilot Freddie Wong and Corridor Digital for lots of inspiration.